Are you looking for the best Airflow PC case? In this video we will look at some of the best Airflow PC case. Before we get started with our video, we have included links in the description. So make sure you check those out to see which one is in your budget range. Number 5. Lenovo IdeaPad Slim 3i Chromebook 14. The Lenovo IdeaPad Slim 3i Chromebook 14, 2025, is our best cheap laptop pick. This compact model is a great option if you only need a simple device for light productivity tasks like text processing, web browsing, and video playback. The Core i3 configuration, paired with an FHD display, 8GB of RAM, and 128GB of storage, is regularly on sale through Lenovo for around $400. The cheaper configurations with an Intel N100 or N200 CPU and or 4GB of RAM are fine if you have an extremely light workload. Just know that they'll get bogged down quickly when multitasking. As for the display, avoid the 768p TN display and get a model with a 1080p, touch-sensitive IPS panel. Not only does it look sharper, but it also has better color reproduction. Unfortunately, the keyboard feels mushy, and the touchpad is small and sometimes unresponsive. Its 1080p webcam is excellent, though, which is surprising for a budget-friendly Chromebook. Its battery life is excellent, you can get around 13 hours from light use, and the laptop charges over USB-C, so there's no need to carry around a proprietary power adapter. Lastly, ensure you can do everything through a Chrome browser or Android app because Chrome OS is limited in the type of applications you can install. Number 4. ASUS Vivobook 16M1605. The best budget laptop we've tested is the ASUS Vivobook 16M1605, 2025. The 16-inch ultra-portable feels well built for the price, and it isn't overly bulky for a 16-inch device, so it's still easy to carry around. You can configure it with an AMD Ryzen 5 or Ryzen 7 CPU, which are more than adequate to handle productivity tasks like text processing, web browsing, spreadsheets, and video playback. As for the RAM, it has 8GB soldered onto the motherboard and a SODIMM slot, so if you can't find a model with 16GB, you can always get an 8GB model and upgrade it yourself, which might be cheaper since RAM sticks are pretty affordable these days. Its battery life is okay at around 8 hours of light use, so depending on your workload, you may have to plug it in for a quick charge. This model delivers a pretty good user experience overall. It has a spacious full-size keyboard with a numpad, which is handy for those working with lots of numbers, as well as a large and responsive touchpad. You get Wi-Fi 6E wireless connectivity, a fingerprint sensor for quick logins, and a decent port selection with 3 USB-As, a USB-C, and an HDMI. Unfortunately, the USB-C doesn't support video output, so you'll have to rely on the HDMI to connect an external display. Our main gripe with this laptop is the display. Its 1080p resolution looks reasonably sharp at this screen size, however, it's quite dim, so visibility may be an issue in well-lit rooms. It also looks a bit washed out due to its narrow color gamut. Number 3. Acer SwiftGo 14 SFG 14-72-53 BP. Our mid-range pick is the Acer SwiftGo 14, 2024. This compact and lightweight ultra-portable is a solid option if you want something cheaper that still provides a good user experience overall. It feels sturdily built for the price, exhibiting only a small amount of flex on the lid and keyboard deck. You get a spacious, albeit slightly mushy keyboard, a large and responsive touchpad, Wi-Fi 6E, a great 1080p webcam, and a wide port selection that includes 2 Thunderbolt 4s and an HDMI. The battery lasts around 11 hours of light use, and you can charge it via USB-C, so there's no need to carry around a proprietary charger. This model features Intel's Meteor Lake CPUs, which are powerful enough to handle tasks like text processing, web browsing, spreadsheets, and presentations, as well as more demanding workloads like programming and simulation. You can get up to 32GB of RAM and 2TB of storage, only the latter is user replaceable, so ensure you get enough RAM for your needs up front. Display options include an FHD plus IPS and a 2.8K OLED panel. Both look sharp and get bright enough for use in most indoor settings, but remember that the OLED is susceptible to permanent burn-in and will drain the battery faster. Also, unlike the IPS panel, the OLED flickers, which might bother people sensitive to screen flickering. Number 2. Apple MacBook Air 13. If you only need a laptop for light productivity and media consumption, get the Apple MacBook Air 13, 2025. This 13.6-inch model is thin and lightweight, making it easy to carry around, and like most MacBooks, it feels incredibly well built, sporting a full aluminum chassis. Working on this laptop feels amazing. It has a sharp, bright IPS display, a spacious keyboard, and a gigantic haptic touchpad. Apple's base M3 SoC can easily handle light productivity tasks and even some light video editing and 3D graphics. Plus, it's remarkably power efficient, resulting in 11 to 12 hours of battery life. Port selection is limited, as it only has 2 USB-C/Thunderbolt 3 ports, and while it can output to 2 external displays, which is an improvement over its M2 predecessor, it can only do so with the lid closed. A Windows alternative to the MacBook Air is the Microsoft Surface Laptop 7th Edition 15, 2025, which is also an ultra-portable. It has a brighter 120Hz touchscreen, a more comfortable keyboard, a wider port selection, and Wi-Fi 7 wireless connectivity. This 2024 model is quite different from its predecessors, as it now sports an ARM-based SoC. The Snapdragon X Elite chip is plenty fast for general productivity tasks, and its incredible power efficiency results in an incredible 17-hour battery life in light uses. The downside is that some apps might not run at all or perform poorly through emulation, so it's best to check that the apps you use run well enough to get your work done. The 15-inch Surface laptop is more expensive than the MacBook Air 13. If budget is a concern, check out the 13-inch Surface laptop, which we haven't tested but expect to be very similar. Number 1. Apple MacBook Pro 14. The best laptop we've tested is the M4 Apple MacBook Pro 14, 2025. This premium workstation has plenty of processing power to tackle nearly anything you throw at it. Its build quality is second to none, plus, its compact design and all-day battery life make it great for on-the-go use. The overall user experience is amazing. You get a sharp, color-accurate mini LED display, a tactile keyboard, an easy-to-use haptic touchpad, and tons of ports. In addition to increased performance, there are a few other upgrades and new features in this M4 model, including a higher display brightness of 1000 candelas per square meter in SDR, an optional nanotexture display to further reduce glare, Thunderbolt 5, Pro and Max, and a new 12MP webcam with center stage support. The Apple MacBook Pro 16, 2025, is also a good choice if you need more screen space and don't mind paying more. It's the same device but with better sounding speakers. On the Windows side, we recommend the Lenovo ThinkPad P1 Gen 7, 2024, also a premium workstation laptop that can handle intensive workloads. It has a large 16-inch display for multitasking, Lenovo's beloved keyboard and trackpoint, and an excellent 1440p webcam. While its Intel Meteor Lake processors won't give you as much CPU processing power as a maxed-out MacBook Pro, you can get more raw GPU performance if you go with one of the higher-end GPUs, like the NVIDIA RTX 80 Generation 3000 or RTX 4070. Memory configuration maxes out at 64GB, though you can upgrade it yourself, up to 96GB. At around 12 hours of light use, its battery life is great but not as impressive as the MacBook Pro's 15+ hours, and unfortunately, none of the available displays get as bright as the MacBook Pro's mini LED panel.